It is 6:30 on a Saturday. Do you know who your backup punter is? If you're a New York Jets fan, you do. And the New York Jets signed him and two other guys, and we got to break this down. So what's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Digest. Before we hop into the video for today, only 25.7% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed, please take a second, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me and Chris out a ton as we make a video for every single signing and move that the New York Jets make this offseason. But talking about one of the three acquisitions today, it's going to be the heir apparent at punter behind Thomas Morstead, veteran, with only one more year on his contract. Let's learn about this guy, Austin McNamara, who the New York Jets just signed. He was an undrafted free agent out of Texas Tech. McNamara signed with the Bengals and was waived last summer. In 5 seasons at Texas Tech, McNamara, they gave him his height, weight, 6'2", 210. Not sure how that works for punters, but there, if you were curious, 6'2", 210, averaged 45.91 yards at punt, which was the highest mark in school and Big 12 conference history. His 48.2 yard average, his junior campaign, was also a Texas Tech and Big 12 single season mark. So, pretty good punter what we got here. Obviously, New York Jets fans, we do punt a lot, but at least when we do punt, we got a pretty good punter right now with Thomas Morstead. Like I said, he's on his final year under contract with the New York Jets. So we got to get, I mean, do we have to get younger at the position? I don't know. But if Thomas Morstead wants to move on, we are not going to hold him hostage. McNamara is going to be the backup punter here. I mean, honestly, there's not too much breakdown to go along with this guy. He's a backup punter. So there you go. Getting into the more interesting signings here. Per Zach Rosenblatt, the New York Jets signed 2 free agents last night, according to their agency. Wide receiver Tyler Johnson from the LA Rams, cornerback Kris Boyd from the Texans. Johnson had 26 catches for 291 yards and 1 touchdown last year, and was 26. Boyd is 28, mostly played special teams. So, you may remember Tyler Johnson if you play fantasy football. This year, a lot of Rams wide receivers got injured, so he actually got an opportunity to get himself on the football field for pretty much the first time in his career. We're going to look at his career stats. Actually, his career stats are right there. 828 yards so far. Not exactly a ton of yards, but this season he saw almost 300 yards, 26 receptions, 291 yards, and 1 touchdown for Tyler Johnson, playing that wide receiver 3 role after Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were dealing with injuries this season. Also, we got some more to learn about him. He was a 5th-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Johnson has 76 catches for 828 yards and 4 scores in his 49 career games. So, not a guy who's seen a ton of action, but a guy who is going to be factoring into a room where the New York Jets need a ton of depth. We know the wide receiver room, it's Garrett Wilson, and that's it. Assuming they cut Allen Lazard, which every single day longer that he stays on the team makes it more likely that he will be one of our wide receivers, either the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 rolling into next season. That's a scary thought. Obviously, don't want him around long term, which he won't be, even if he's only going to be here for one more season max. But I'm done with seeing Lazard and his holding penalties, his dropping the football, his only being productive when Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback. We can get rid of him. Obviously, behind Garrett Wilson, without Allen Lazard, it gets scary quick. Malachi Corley and Xavier Gibson, not 2 guys who we can rely on for anything. So Tyler Johnson is a depth signing who I expect that we are going to see on the field a little bit this season. He's going to be playing that wide receiver 4. So if there's an injury, he'll play. But every single game he is going to be playing, because when wide receivers run routes, they're going to get tired. Tyler Johnson is going to be playing. Expect to see him in 13 personnel, which is when the New York Jets are going to be running out with 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. So anytime they run out a 3 wide receiver set, Johnson will have a pretty solid likelihood of being on the football field. I know we've seen a lot of depth signings so far that we're not really sure if these guys are even going to make the team, if they're going to be on the practice squad, or if they're going to be seeing real game time. I expect Tyler Johnson to be a guy who is going to be seeing real game time. Also might be playing a little bit on special teams. He ran a 4.7 at the combine, but I think when he plays a little bit faster than that. We saw also at the combine, Aaron Glenn was interviewed, and he talked about how he scouted Jameson Williams to be a clear-out guy for the Detroit Lions. Even though Tyler Johnson ran a 4.7, I do think he can play this role in the New York Jets offense. And I think this is not like a great wide receiver, but I think this is a player that Jets fans can get at least like not even super excited, but this is the best signing that we've made over the last couple of days. So I do think this is someone that we are going to see a lot of come Sundays in the fall. Hopping into our final signing here, we got, oh boy, wasn't supposed to show you guys that. Boyd, 28 years old, appeared in all 17 games last season with Houston and played 77% of the Texans special team snaps. A cornerback by trade, he has limited action on defense, 687 total snaps during his 6 years in the league. His most memorable moment is a rather infamous one. Boyd shoved a Texans special teams coach, Frank Ross, Frank Ross, on the sideline after committing a penalty on a kickoff during Houston's divisional round loss in Kansas City this past season. So this is a guy with a fiery personality who the New York Jets can use. DeMeco Ryans came out after the game and said it was just it was a spur of the moment thing. He wasn't any ill will. He wasn't mad at the coach. They were just hyping each other up. When you watch it, it did look like they were mad at each other, but they didn't look so mad where I'm just going to disregard what DeMeco Ryans said on the matter. I'm going to go ahead and trust him. So I'm thinking we're getting a guy who brings a lot of energy to the Jets special teams. Yes, we need depth at corner. I don't expect this player to make a huge impact on our cornerback depth. I mean, we've been making some signings in the secondary. I would expect even more signings and draft picks to come to address the secondary depth as well. So this player, don't really expect to see him as a cornerback. Definitely expect to see him on special teams. And one of the reasons why I don't expect to see him at cornerback is he graded out as pretty much one of the worst defensive backs that Pro Football Focus has ever seen. An overall grade of 30.4, ranking 218th of 222 qualifying cornerbacks. So only 4 cornerbacks scoring lower than this player. I mean, if we want to continue our trend of players having higher run defense grades than coverage grades, this guy does continue that trend. Speaking more towards the New York Jets trying to put together a secondary of guys who are physical and guys who could tackle. But I think this grade being higher on this specific player points to him being used as a special teamer on punt coverage and kickoff coverage. He's going to be a guy who is physical enough to tackle the guys running the ball back, but he's still fast enough to get down there and make a play really fast. So don't expect this guy to be a real cornerback, but he is going to be there making an impact on special teams, which, people forget. Football, it's not just offense and defense. There's 3 phases. Special teams matters a lot. Just look at the Kansas City Chiefs win versus the Houston Texans last season in the playoffs. Kansas City absolutely outgained, but those special teams plays were humongous all season. I mean, not even just in that playoff game. The kickoffs were huge in that game, just stealing hidden yardage to go win that game against Houston, even though they got badly outgained. If you look at the offensive and defensive stats for Kansas City versus the Houston Texans. Also, very important for Kansas City last season, getting that first round bye. And we saw them block multiple kicks that could have been game-winning field goals against the Kansas City Chiefs. They knocked them down. Special teams matters. We got to have special teams guys. I know we're not super excited when we're signing special teams guys. I can understand why people wouldn't be excited to sign special teamers because they're not going to be playing as much as the real players. They're not going to be as good as the real players, and they're probably never going to have the ceiling that a real defensive cornerback would have. But the team's got to be a full team. Last season, we saw what happens when your team isn't deep enough. We've seen what happens when the team can't tackle. So I just want to urge people who are getting a little bit frustrated over Darren Mougey's slow start to free agency, signing these lower level guys, looking for the diamond in the rough. Just give them some time. Let's at least see like 4 or 5 games before we start judging all these signings too harshly. Like, of course, I can't stop anyone from having an opinion. If you hate the signings, you hate the signings. But I want to at least see what the New York Jets are going to look like before I grade them too harshly. But that's what I got for you guys today. Apologies that this video was a little bit late. I had some important stuff to do this morning, and it went pretty long because of that New York traffic that we all know and love. But if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and as always, go Jets.